Since November, you'll probably remember that Combs has been named in 8 civil lawsuits, 7 directly accusing him of sexual assault.
That federal investigators are preparing to possibly bring witnesses in front of a federal grand jury in New York City. What we have heard is that possible witnesses have been notified that they could be called to testify. Now, sources do caution that investigators are still in the process of gathering information. In fact, they are still calling in new witnesses, and they have called in some witnesses multiple times. We are learning now that federal investigators are in possession of video footage that was taken inside of Combs's residence. We hear that these investigators have been contacting individuals that they have seen on this footage.
Show your face! Show your face, please, with sugar on top!
Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all know my slogan. I don't know it all, but I know what I've been through. Now, before we get into this video, make sure you check us out on Patreon at www.patreon.com/Hookah Anonymous _. You guys been telling us to create one for the longest, so we recently created a community where we will upload videos that we can't share on YouTube due to their guidelines. We'll also be dropping the latest to there first, behind the scenes information that you wouldn't find anywhere else on our socials. So make sure you become a member, and after you do that, head over to our official Instagram page at Hookah Anonymous _ and follow us there. Now, without further ado, let's get into what you guys came here to see. Now, according to CNN, they're taking this Diddy case a little step further, where a federal grand jury will be hearing from Diddy's accusers. Now, in an attempt to indict Sean Diddy Combs, Puff Daddy, Brother Love, whatever you want to call him, a federal investigator or federal investigators are preparing to hear testimonies from his alleged accusers. Now, let me start off by saying this before we go forward, because I'm going to read the CNN document that I want you guys to hear word for word, because I don't want to mess anything up. But here's what I want to say, man. I don't know what's going on between the whole Diddy situation, but he's the only guy I know that could be accused of a million things, got things on camera, the whole 9 yards, and not be arrested. They keep saying they're trying to indict him, but they ran in his house, they raided his house, they got surveillance footage of him putting his hands on Cassie. So what is the delay, right? Then in the beginning, they tried to tell us that they was looking for Diddy. Then it came out that they actually seen him before they ran in his house, but the other guy was arrested instead of Diddy, which makes no sense. You know, the guy that was supposedly the drug mule, they arrested him while he was with Diddy, but they didn't arrest Diddy. Then there was this big movie Netflix thing, like he done went to this country, he done went to that country, they couldn't find the plane. It's just all propaganda. I feel like it's a lot going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, but it's just not making sense. Now, CNN reports that the feds have kicked things up a notch. I guess they're tired of playing with Diddy, and investigators are bringing in possible witnesses to actually testify in front of a federal grand jury in New York City. For the lawsuits that have been filed against Diddy, the accusers will have a chance to express themselves in front of a jury now. Diddy have been named in 8 civil lawsuits, where 7 of them are accusing him of sexual assault, and the 8th one is the one that already been settled between him and Cassie. They say federal investigators are digging deeper, questioning sources, and even gathering witnesses of the accusers. They also say that as of recently, accusers have been actively cooperating, and some have even handed over evidence they say that can be helpful in the investigation. One of the evidence includes a video of a male SEX worker who claimed to be victimized by Diddy, and he was also questioned after being seen in the footage. They say the footage is in the hands of the feds now, and aside from that, some of the accusers have also admitted that they were informed that they were being recorded, but it was after the fact and they never gave consent to be filmed. Let me tell y'all something. I think after everybody done seen Diddy give away, allegedly $30 million to Cassie in less than a day, right? Or was it a day after? Once they seen that, after that lawsuit came out, everybody just figured, listen, if you got a story on Diddy, you got a story on Diddy. Even if you seen him pee in the street, let's sue him, because it's a possible money grab for us. And I'm not making no excuses, but it seems to me like the statutes of limitations don't exist when it comes to celebrities, right? Because you have people coming out as far as 2003, 2006, 2012. It's a lot of people coming out about old things that they either seen or happened to them, and they're filing lawsuits. We've seen the same thing happen with Bill Cosby, where people was coming from the 80s. They was talking about situations that happened in the early 90s and late 80s. And keep in mind, this is what people got to understand, right? When the court of law, you're innocent until proven guilty. Just because somebody has a lawsuit against you, alleging that you did such and such, it doesn't mean that you did it. It's a lawsuit being brought before the court. You got to prove your innocence, and, until they get a verdict, nobody's yet guilty. So I see a lot of people, they automatically point the finger, oh, this happened, that happened. They said it. It hasn't been confirmed yet. Whether you believe he did X, Y, and Z or not, it hasn't been confirmed. You're innocent until proven guilty. The only thing we do know for a fact is when it comes to Cassie, because we actually seen the video of him putting his hands on her. So that right there is set and sealed. All right, which is probably why he hurried up and settled hers as soon as possible. Now, I want to dig a little deeper into the lawsuit made by Little Rod for a little bit, because somehow there's a lot of things not being mentioned, and people are allowing information to go over their heads and not mentioning other people that's involved in the lawsuit. So something just isn't adding up. And I told y'all from the beginning, the lawsuit that does include Diddy name also included other people like Lucien Grainge and Universal Records and just other people that was involved. But for some reason, everybody's focusing on Diddy. Now, I'm not saying Diddy is a saint. I'm just saying I feel that it's something bigger that we're being distracted from. And there's other key players that are involved in the lawsuit. Now, let me go back, right? I want to just show y'all something real quick, just so, we don't veer off of Diddy. But real quick, let's talk about the lawsuit that they initially had from the beginning. And this is why I believe personally that Diddy's house was raided and he was never arrested, because it's not Diddy that they want. They want what Diddy have, right? Now, part of Lil Rod's lawsuit, it would say, quote, Mr. Combs possesses compromising footage of every person that has attended his freak-off parties and his house parties. Upon information and belief due to this treasure trove of evidence he has in his possession, Mr. Combs believes that he is above the law and is untouchable. Upon information and belief, Mr. Combs employs Jose Cruz as his IT director. This writer has spoken to several former employees of Mr. Combs who confirm that Jose Cruz is the gatekeeper to all of Mr. Combs' recordings. Upon information and belief, Jose Cruz intentionally hides behind the camera and from social media and the internet due to all the incriminating acts he was required to record for Mr. Combs. Now, a lot of things go over people's heads, and let's explain this. Let's go back to the part where it says the treasure trove of evidence that he has in his possession. Mr. Combs believes that he is above the law and is untouchable. Now, that's the part we need to focus on, because guess what? Who is the person that he has evidence on that will make him feel like he's above the law and untouchable? Because let's be real, right? If he had any type of evidence or surveillance on me or you or any type of average Joe, he wouldn't feel above the law and untouchable, because he will have no reason to. So once again, who is it that he has evidence on that will make him feel above the law and untouchable? Right? These are the questions we got to ask, because it seems like nobody reads and do the due diligence of really properly going into these lawsuits and seeing what they're saying. Of course, everybody's focused on Diddy. But once again, what are these people doing that attended his party that they are so embarrassed about that they don't want nobody to know, that they go as far as raiding his home and trying to get whatever they think he has in his house? Now, keep that in mind while we talk about Lucien Grainge and Ethiopia Habtemary. Right? These are other people that was named in this lawsuit, but for some reason, they're not getting that much attention. And just a few days ago, it's been reported that Little Rod actually dropped Lucien Grainge from the lawsuit. Out of nowhere, he just dropped him. He's no longer being put in it. I guess Universal isn't either. All right, for the record, for y'all that don't know who Lucien Grainge is, right? He's the big shot behind the music industry that called the shots. Well, one of the big shots. We have a couple of them like Leo Cohen, Clive Davis. These are the guys that are really behind the people who you think are the shot callers, right? He's better known as a record executive producer who has been the chairman and CEO of Universal Records since 2010. Now, for y'all that don't know, he was named and mentioned in the Lil Rod's lawsuit, but for some reason, once again, like I just stated a few minutes ago, he's been dropped from it. And of course, y'all know why. I always tell y'all that money brings power. Them people up there, it's not too much you could do with them, right? So it looks like Diddy's being a fall guy, but we're going to get into all that. Let's get into what Lil Rod had to say before he dropped Lucien Grainge from the actual lawsuit. It would say, quote, Mr. Jones believes that Mr. Combs has recordings of defendants Lucien Charles Grainge, Ethiopia, Habtemariam, as well as other celebrities, music label executives, politicians, and athletes. Let me read that again. He has recordings of defendants Lucien Charles Grainge, Ethiopia, Habtemariam, as well as other celebrities, music label executives, politicians, and athletes. You see, this is why they want, like, people are not understanding. Now, here's the part that kills me about this whole situation where Lil Rod dropped Lucien Grainge, because their argument was that Lucien Grainge had nothing to do with the lawsuit. However, if these are his claims, how can someone come out of nowhere and just say, I got nothing to do with it? Right? That's like somebody accusing me of a crime and I just come out of nowhere and say, nah, I got nothing to do with it. Leave me alone. And they just drop you from the lawsuit. That's not how that's supposed to work. But once again, now let's go back to when it says that Lil Rod says Diddy probably feels like he's above the law because of the footage and evidence that he has. Now we go back to this and it says that he believes, keyword, he believes that Diddy has recordings of politicians and athletes and music label executives. Now, for y'all that don't know, when he say he believes, 9 times out of 10, he wants to say he knows, but he can't really say it because, you know, you got to be political about it. So you got to say you believe, but that's another term for saying you know. And here's my thing. If everybody's believing Lil Rod about the other accusations, why are people being selective when it comes to believing that he says Mr. Combs has recordings of Lucien Grainge and other celebrities, music label executives, politicians, and athletes? But anyway, let's get into another section of the lawsuit where Mr. Jones, aka Lil Rod, speaks on Lucien Grainge's alleged involvement in Diddy's scandalous schemes. In this section, it will say, quote, according to Mr. Jones, whenever defendant Grainge visited Mr. Combs at his homes, it would be in the evening and he and Mr. Combs would disappear for hours in Mr. Combs' bedroom. Defendant Grainge sponsored and attended several Love album listening parties at Mr. Combs' home in Los Angeles, California. These parties were sponsored by defendants MR, LR, and UMG. As evidence above, these parties had SEX workers and underage girls present. During these parties, defendant Grainge knew or should have known that Mr. Combs was drugging the attendees through laced bottles of De Leon tequila and Ciroc vodka. Then in another section of the lawsuit, it would say, quote, as respondent superior, defendants Lucien Charles Grainge, Ethiopia, Habtemariam, Combs Global, Motown Records, Love Records, and Universal Music Group are 100% liable for the actions of Sean Combs, Justin Combs, Christina Corum, as they were acting in the capacities of the respondent superior collectives employees when they committed the acts detailed below. So once again, if they are considered the respondent superior collective, right, of Sean Combs and his son Justin Combs and everybody that's under them when it comes to that label, then why aren't they being held accountable? Why was Lucien Grainge able to be scot-free from the lawsuit? Why was he dropped? Right? If they're saying that they are held liable, why are they being dropped? Why isn't Lil Rod sticking to his accusations against Lucien Grainge? What made him come to the conclusion that he wants to drop him from the lawsuit? What happened? Right? Now also keep in mind, now let's go back to the politicians and everybody else that Diddy may have evidence on when it comes to these recordings. For y'all that don't know, Prince Harry was also attending Diddy's party. You know, so when you make sense of it all, this is why they're trying so hard to get to Diddy. I feel Diddy knew the game these guys played, but he was a step ahead. What I think happened was this. Diddy been around the block long enough to know the games them higher ups play, so what he did was record certain things as blackmail and used it to his advantage in maintaining power within the industry, and they know that he got what he got and know what he know. And if any of the information get out, they're doomed. And for the people that say things like, oh, just because Prince Harry or this or that person went to the parties, it don't make them guilty. You're right. But that's like saying just because someone takes a trip to Epstein's Island, don't make them guilty either then. Right? Because the main question becomes, why are you there? Right? If y'all saying that everybody know about Diddy parties, they know what it's about, and we all know that everybody know what his party is about, why are you there? Right? You can't tell me you went somewhere and wasn't aware of what was going on and you were just there, especially if you went more than once. I'm sorry, you're guilty by association, just like the law says. But the problem is, the law only applies to certain people. And y'all remember when LeBron was on live with Diddy and he set out his own mouth with a weird smile. Ain't no party like a Diddy party.
Hey, everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
Ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's
So come on, these guys know what's going on, and I honestly believe that this is why they all have to go against Diddy, because their career, their livelihood, their image, their everything is at stake. Simple. And for the people that's going to let everything I just said go over their head and say, oh, so you trying to say Diddy isn't guilty? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's more than just Diddy we should be worrying about, and I feel we're being distracted just by focusing on Diddy. That whole industry is just one big weird circus, and it's a lot of things being revealed. We got to pay attention. But that's pretty much it, y'all. In a nutshell, the feds have received new evidence according to them, and they will be holding a federal grand jury for the accusers to speak on their claims, and then whatever the outcome of that will determine whether they'll indict Diddy or not. So y'all jump in the comments, let me know what y'all think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'ma keep on dropping. And I'm out.